Sentence structures, clauses, and word order in English express complete thoughts, phrases, and ideas. The most basic sentence structure has only one clause, or a short phrase, that can be independent or dependent. Independent clauses are full phrases that are considered to be complete sentences, but dependent clauses are subordinating and incomplete. The standard order of words in an English sentence is a subject plus a verb plus an object. While it is simple, it's important to identify the subjects, verbs, and objects, depending on the sentence structure. In English, there are 4 types of clauses, making for 4 sentence structures: simple, compound, complex, and compound-complex. Before understanding how every structure works, we first need to understand the elements that every sentence can have in terms of the order of the words. The subject of a sentence is whatever is acting in the sentence, which is the first basic component. This can be a noun and a subject, like he. Then there is the predicate of a sentence, which is a verb continuation that can include further information, like he loves. Then there is the object, which is a subject complement that receives the action and complements the subject by describing it. Subject complements can be direct or indirect and will always follow a verb, like he loves animals. This is the first type of sentence structure in English. It is a simple sentence having only a subject, verb, and an object in that word order. Because of these elements, this simple sentence is an independent clause that can be said on its own. He loves animals. If one of the elements is missing, it would be a dependent clause or a fragment that cannot be counted as a sentence because it cannot be said on its own and needs other components. After a simple sentence, there is the compound sentence structure. A compound sentence is simply 2 independent clauses that connect by a coordinating conjunction. A coordinating conjunction is a word that connects clauses that are equal in grammatical rank, which will work for independent clauses. Grammatically, conjunctions have to use a comma before when connecting independent clauses. The conjunctions can be for, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. The most common ones are and but, and the best way to remember them is by the acronym FANBOYS, where each letter corresponds to the first letter that every conjunction begins with. A compound sentence structure has an independent clause plus a coordinating conjunction plus an independent clause. He loves animals. I like plants. The 2 clauses are independent because they can stand on their own without a conjunction. We can connect them with a conjunction to make a compound sentence structure. He loves animals, but I like plants, in that word order. Now we have a compound sentence. If we want to save time, we can use a semicolon instead. He loves animals. I like plants. The semicolon indicates a pause, typically between 2 clauses, that is used more when writing than speaking. After a compound sentence, there is the complex sentence structure, which is the first to use a dependent clause or a fragment. The structure of a complex sentence is composed of an independent clause and a dependent clause that cannot stand on its own. Dependent clauses are known as subordinating conjunctions because they connect a fragmented phrase with an independent clause. Complex sentences work best when we need to provide more information to explain the main point of a sentence. They're more common in academic writing, but allow sophisticated connections between ideas, showing that one idea is more important than another. A dependent clause can also come before or after an independent clause, so the order will determine which idea is more vital. He loves animals because they are cute. Because they are cute, he loves animals. The 2 sentences are complex because they each have an independent clause and a dependent clause, also known as a subordinating conjunction. The first one begins with an independent clause, but the second begins with a dependent clause, following a comma. The word because is the subordinating conjunction that begins the dependent clauses that cannot stand on their own, thus being fragments. A different sentence is, I will eat a pizza if I'm hungry. If I'm hungry, I will eat a pizza. This example is very similar in the same word order because these sentences are both complex, having an independent and dependent clause. In this case, the word if is a subordinating conjunction that begins the dependent clauses that cannot stand on their own, following a comma. Again, depending on the order of the clauses, the complex sentences will show which idea is more vital. The last sentence structure is compound complex. A compound complex sentence is composed of 2 independent clauses and 1 dependent clause. A compound complex sentence can have 1 coordinating conjunction between an independent clause and a dependent clause, or between 2 independent clauses, depending on the word order. Compound complex sentences express complex relationships between multiple ideas, which are useful in analytical writing and sophisticated speech. Even though they can be confusing at times, they can make writing simpler to understand by breaking into multiple sentences. The compound complex sentence structure has an independent clause plus a dependent clause or subordinating conjunction plus a coordinating conjunction plus an independent clause. Depending on which idea is more important, sometimes the order can be a dependent clause plus an independent clause plus a coordinating conjunction plus an independent clause. He loves animals because they are cute, so he works at a zoo. Because they are cute, he loves animals, so he works at a zoo. The two sentences are compound complex because they have two independent clauses and one dependent clause. The first one begins with an independent clause, follows a dependent clause, a comma, plus a coordinating conjunction, and an independent clause. The second begins with a dependent clause, following a comma, and then proceeds to the independent clauses. The word because is a subordinating conjunction in the dependent clauses that cannot stand on their own, and so is the coordinating conjunction that connects the two independent clauses. A different sentence is, I will eat a pizza and I will drink coffee if I'm hungry. If I'm hungry, I will eat a pizza and I will drink coffee. This example is very similar in the same word order because these sentences are both compound complex, having two independent clauses and one dependent clause. The word if is a subordinating conjunction that begins the dependent clauses, and is the coordinating conjunction that connects the two independent clauses. Again, depending on the order of the clauses, this sentence structure will show which idea is more vital.